Hello, how is everyone doing? Is anyone awake at this time? I mean, I know I was like, oh God, why did I decide to do a 10 a.m. stream on a weekend? Um, but yeah, we're gonna like get kick started, see how things are going. Does my sound okay? Let me. Hello, testing, testing, testing. Okay, that sounds fine if I listen to some music. Okay. I think that sounds all good. So if you could let me know if there are any issues, that would be great. If not, we're going to get started really quickly because this is going to be one hell of a stream getting everything done. But it's going to be fun. And I think it's going to really help everyone see what's going on with software and how to use it. Hello, Nikki. How are you doing? Thank you for coming. Oh, amazing space. That is great to hear. And hello, Dennis. Right, here is the Notion link. It is linking to our story. So, for the purposes of this novel, or this kind of like example novel, it's going to be more a short story than a full novel. Purely because you don't need an entire novel to show how to use Novelcrafter. Um, but before I go into kind of full details on that, I just wanted to like I don't know if you're watching this after the sample novel has been put up. Hi, I'm Kate. I do all the videos. Part of the Novelcrafter team. Um, and I just kind of wanted to do a little chat about how I actually use AI and how I wrote beforehand. Because I think like Novelcrafter is great because you can make it fit your workflow. You don't have to do anything. Like if there is a feature that you don't want to use, don't use it. Like it is as simple as that. Novelcrafter can be as simple or as detailed as you want. Its purpose is to get your ideas down, use the workflow that works best for you, make Novelcrafter do that. I'm going to show a few different things while making this book. And I'm also going to include a lot of notes. We're going to do some like appendices and just try and give this like a lot of information that you guys will find useful. Ideally, that's why we're doing this live so that you guys can give feedback, tell me what you want, what you really, really want as things go on. So in life, I am very chaotic. Like, chaos is my nickname for my husband. Um, Before writing with AI assistants, I'll plan like detailed snowflake method, all that. But then when it comes to the actual writing, I don't write in order. I will write random scenes, like a jigsaw, end up putting them together. Um, and so I was very like intuitive in writing what I felt like. I wouldn't necessarily even write an entire chapter. I would write bits, and then afterwards I would connect all these bits and pieces together. Um, which was like, the less fun bit for me. Um, since using AI I kind of use it to wrangle my horses. So I know things where things are, and like I can fill in the details as I'm going about. But if there are empty chapters, that's fine. I can deal with it later. And AI helps in the sense of I can ask it like what are logical progressions between these two chapters, or between these two chunks of text within a scene. You might have seen it in my write with me the other day. Like I often write conversations backwards as well if I'm more clear of like the ending point than the beginning point and that kind of thing. Like it's not logical, I guess. Um, but you may be thinking, but I need to have seen summaries and everything for Novelcrafter to work. I mean, like, if something is missing in the context of chapter 14, if it's that important, you'll add it in later manually. Or you can edit stuff after. Like, it's fine. Like, there is a warning message there just in case you forgot. You don't have to fill anything in. Like, it is all purely optional. Like, things still work. So, I think kind of one of the big messages for anyone who's starting out on this is relax. There may be a lot of features, but they are not all compulsory. You can just get started writing with a blank page. I'm going to mostly use the prompts built in. However, where I use different prompts, especially when we get to the editing stages, I'm going to include them as snippets, along with the details of how to use them, so that if you are using the project afterwards, you can easily add them into your library. So that's my plan, so that anything used within this story is going to get included either in the document here, or within the novel itself. If I forget anything as I'm doing this, please, please, please just let me know and I can rectify that. You guys are like my fact checkers or something. So ideally, this is going to be split into 3 sessions. All depends on how it is. I'm going to do 2 hours now, 10 till 12 BST, take an hour break, then do another 2 hours, 1 till 3 BST, take an hour break, 4 till 6, so that we all can have a rest. You can like drop in, drop out, catch up on stuff. You won't need to have watched the earlier ones. So like if you're watching this now and like I'm live with session 3, just jump in on that. It's fine. So we're going to start off with brainstorming in this session and kind of getting a plan. And then next session will be more focused on writing. I'm going to do each chapter with different I guess different tactics, like different beats or styles, so that you can it can be an example of different ways of writing. And then the third session will be editing, kind of fact checking, making sure things kind of fit in. I'll get Corey to have a look over because he has read a lot of the stories. So we have taken this quote from The Adventure of the Sussex Vampire as inspiration for this short story we're going to be writing. So, Matilda Briggs was not the name of a young woman, Watson, said Holmes in a reminiscent voice. It was a ship with which is associated with the giant rat of Sumatra, a story for which the world is not yet prepared. So this short story has never been written in the Conan Doyle canon. There have been some, there will be fan fictions, other stories. I have purposefully not looked at any of those, and neither had Corey before starting this, and we've made our initial assumptions based on the original source materials to try and ensure that we're not like AI doesn't mention something that someone else has done. Like these are based on our own initial ideas. Obviously, if you're doing something that isn't based on real works, this isn't as much of an issue. So, a few things that we can deduce. The Sussex Vampire, because late in Holmes's career, we know that because of the short stories that it's part of. Therefore, the giant rat of Sumatra occurred either earlier in his career, pre-Watson, because Watson wasn't there, he wasn't familiar with it, or during his 3-year hiatus following the Reichenbach Falls. Watson's already learned about many of the cases prior to 81, so we're then thinking, okay, this is during the fall when he's traveling the world. Sumatra isn't exactly near to England. So we know that Holmes spent 2 years in Tibet, which at least is in the same continent, and often traveled as a Norwegian named Sigerson. So we're kind of going under the assumption this is late in 1892. He boarded the Matilda Briggs at some point, and we're thinking, okay, maybe it's newly arrived from Sumatra. Obviously, Tibet is landlocked, so we're thinking, okay, well, he could have got it from Burma or Myanmar now, India, that kind of thing. He might have used that as a way of traveling. He then, after Tibet, went to Persia, so it would make sense that he did a sea voyage. So Matilda Briggs. Matilda is a very Australian name. I think more so than English now. So we're saying it's an Australian ship, perhaps heading to England via Sumatra and Burma. This ties in some of the movements in canon, explains the boat and the connection with Sumatra without having to write this actually being in Sumatra. Like, I'm very conscious that I know nothing about Sumatra. And I don't really want to write a story that might then have AI tint in it about a place. So we're sticking everything on a boat. It's going to be nice and contained, and kind of do things that way, I think, is kind of the the easiest way. And also it's a short story. The Conan Doyle short stories are between like 6,000 and 9,000 words. They're not long. So for space and time, we're keeping things nice and concise. We're also doing this in Holmes's point of view. Now, there are 2 stories in the Holmes canon that are from his point of view. One of them is The Adventure of the Blanched Soldier. You can click on that, have a look, all open source. So we're using that as kind of like the basis. Like, he does sometimes narrate stories when Watson isn't there. I believe this one was because Watson was off being married. So Holmes was like, fine, I'll do adventures by myself. All of that good stuff. And there is a fairly tight structure to the Conan Doyle Holmes short stories. There is an introduction of a few hundred words, presentation of the case, usually either someone coming to Baker Street or him finding out about it another way, him actually going to the area and investigating, a deduction where he gets to show how brilliant he is, and a resolution, kind of usually like I guess very Poirot-esque, where he just like stands and chats to people. So, and then the conclusion is very brief. So whilst Watson isn't there, because he is known to Holmes, we'll have a codex entry for him, but it'd be a lot briefer. So I think perhaps what will be a good way to start is by putting our brain dump into Novelcrafter and then chatting with it. So let's dive in, I guess. Does anyone have any questions before we start? I realize I've kind of like gone quite quickly over just the back stuff because this isn't actually showing anything within Novelcrafter. But if you have any questions or requests, please let me know. And I'll just have a bit of my tea. So when you start with Novelcrafter, your interface will be blank. I've obviously got, you may notice this is my Novelcrafter Kate account rather than my actual account. But you can start and create your first novel just by going on here. Create novel. And then we can see here. So, The Giant Rat of Sumatra. Author, pen name, Novelcrafter Kate. This can be in a new series. We will call this Sample Novels. And this is book 1. So then we're going to create the novel. We have absolutely nothing there. So there's a couple of ways that we can put in our brain dump to begin working with chat on this. I might do some codex entries, I think. So you could do this as put it in a scene and then chat with your scene. So as in like, you create your first scene and then you can chat with the scene. And if your brain dump is in there, it will have it in the code, in the context. I think I will do a couple of codex entries. So I'm going to put this structure. So I'm going to go new entry, other, story structure. And then I will make a new one called brain dump. And then I'm going to pin this. And I'm just going to make this huge for now because let me zoom in as well, I think will help. that better? So we're going to put in our brain dump here. So we're going to add in the story is told from Sherlock's point of view, and is set in 1892. When he boards the Matilda Briggs. I will get rid of the modern day terms because we want to keep it contemporary. We're going for like original setting, modern sensibilities. Ideally. I also have, so I've got these. My hide this. So I'm also going to include this in the brain dump. So this is part of our, as such, we would like to begin the story with a customs worker telling Holmes not to board the ship. During this time period, ships didn't dock in, or ships often didn't dock in ports, and passengers moved via smaller boats to board. This was done to prevent the spread of disease, i.e. via rats. Sherlock is posing as Sigerson at this time, who is a world explorer. Wireless telegrams didn't yet exist, therefore communication with the world off of the boat is impossible during the story. Okay, so I think that's kind of my initial kind of thoughts with the story, my brain dump that I have. I'm happy with this. So now what I'm going to do is do 2 brain dump sessions, sessions where I research the story using 2 different models. I will do one as my like old favorite, Sonnet 3.5. Does anyone have a request for the other model that I use when brainstorming? I could do GPT-4o Mini because it's dirt cheap. I could do one of the free or open source models. Does anyone have a preference or a request? And let me just put these in. So I'll do a tab called Codex Entries. This will be a toggle list within this. Here I'm just adding in the Codex entries in case any of you want to see it, or later on, you know, people watching can grab them. I'm going to close this a little bit. Go into chat. Do I have any... 1 minute. I'm just going to get rid of this prompt. I don't know what it is. I think it was just a test that I was doing, but I want to keep the interface as clean as possible for when we start. Okay, if no one has any requests, well, Toppy is free, and that's a... I guess starting with a free model is good. I can show the 2 different variants if no one has any objections. To be fair, I'm not sure how much of a lag there is with this. So, yeah, I will, let's go on here. Sonnet 3.5. Now, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to prompt here. So let's have a think. Okay, let's have a think. I'm going to change this to Brainstorm. Maybe. Yeah, I think Brainstorm rather than Brain Dump. So Novelcrafter is great because when you mention a Codex entry by its name or one of its aliases or nicknames, it comes up in the context. So if I go on to context, once it's, or if I go on here, preview final prompt, it now shows my Brainstorm in the context because it's part of the Codex. Hello, Dusenberger, how are you doing? So yeah, so please take the Brainstorm provided and help me flesh out the story I am writing, The Giant Rat of Sumatra. Let's start by analyzing what I have provided and then checking for inconsistencies, and then we can brainstorm 5 different storylines that fit in with the logic that we have determined. Oh, amazing. Well, if you like see anything that is inaccurate or anything, like let me know. My like Sherlock Holmes canon is very skewed by all the different TV series that are around, and so I know there will be things that either I miss or the AI misses. So if there's anything that you think of, feel free to let us know. I can add in when it's human ideas and all that. So yeah. Okay, let's try this. I will add this into here. So we're using Toppy. So I'm going to name this thread up here. Toppy initial brainstorm. Okay, so let's take a look. Setting. Story set in 1892 on board the Matilda Briggs, an Australian ship travelling from Sumatra to England via Burma. I mean, it's travelling from Australia to... Well, maybe it's travelling from Sumatra. Maybe it's done 2 legs. It doesn't matter. The setting allows for a connection to Sherlock's movements in canon. Sherlock Holmes is posing as Sigerson. Allows for interesting interactions. The story begins with a customs worker due to health-related concerns to present related to disease prevention methods. Sets up conflict that Sherlock must navigate in order to achieve his goal of travelling there. While his telegrams don't exist yet, creates a sense of... Okay, so it's basically just gone through checking everything. Oh, thank you in advance. So yeah, so that's kind of just gone through confirming everything. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so 5 different storylines. Mysterious illness aboard the ship. As passengers begin to fall ill with strange disease, Sherlock must use his deductive skills to identify the cause and find a cure before it spreads further through the ship. The storyline could involve elements of medical mystery and high-stakes tension as more people become ill. Smuggling operation. Sherlock discovers a secret smuggling operation aboard the ship involving valuable goods or contraband items. He must work undercover to gather evidence and bring those responsible to justice without alerting them to his true identities or intentions. This storyline could involve elements of suspense and action as Sherlock navigates the dangerous situation in pursuit of justice. That could work in that maybe the illness is being used as a cover for why people can't go onto the ship. And so maybe there's a gang involved. I would have to think about how to logically do that, because like if Sherlock's just on a ship with a gang that you know, so we're gonna have to work out the logistics of that. Murder on board. A passenger is found dead under mysterious circumstances, and Sherlock is called upon to investigate the crime scene and identify the killer before they strike again. This storyline could involve elements of psychological thriller as Sherlock delves into the minds of each potential suspect. Mutiny brewing. Tensions among crew begin to escalate as they grow increasingly dissatisfied with their living condition and treatment. I don't like that. Search for hidden treasure. Ooh, okay. Previous owner who... Okay, so these are a great start. However, how does the title of the story, The Giant Rat of Sumatra, fit in with each of these ideas? Okay, so yeah, so it's saying that there's a rat that caused it, which is fair. Plagues. Poor rats. I mean, I guess the giant rat could also be a nickname for, like, a gang member if it was a smuggling operation. Are there ways of interpreting giant rat that maybe aren't quite so literal? If you're wanting to just like send messages as well, you have to do Control-Enter rather than Enter. So something to keep in mind. That's why I always keep making lines before sending, because I forget. There are several ways to interpret giant rat that aren't necessarily literal. Oh, okay. I like the idea of it being a code word or a secret signal. Maybe to do with the smuggling operation. It could be that there aren't actually that many smugglers on board, but maybe they have knowledge on the captain and forcing it could work. I like the idea of giant rat being a code word for something. Let's take ideas 1, 2, and 3, and expand on each of these using this new knowledge. I will put these chats as well in the Notion document, so feel free. Okay. Right. No, it's not done it. No, I meant the story ideas, not the representations of giant rat. That's on me. Okay, I'm going to rephrase this question. And then I'm going to put in brackets. I'm not mad because it's free. It's slightly inconvenient, but you know. Okay, we've got the answer we want. Mysterious illness. Sherlock discovers that giant rat is a code word used by a group of passengers planning to hijack the Matilda Briggs and steal valuable cargo. As he delves deeper into the plot, he learns that they've also introduced a deadly disease onto the ship as a diversion. Sherlock must work quickly to identify the source of the disease and find a cure. So we could take that. I like that concept. Something we could do is have maybe the mysterious illness doesn't actually exist and members of the passengers, ship, whatever, are faking it so that their rooms can't be searched so that they can smuggle. And by faking this illness, it's kind of I don't know if radioactive materials, maybe they were a thing then, but okay. So let's combine the smuggling and illness ideas. Perhaps the illness is being faked by some passengers or crew in order to prevent customs coming onto the ship. So you can see here, even Toppy, like the free model, is doing a pretty decent job at brainstorming. Like giving the initial ideas, like there will be a lot of work I'll have to do, but it's not bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click on the 3 dots, the actions menu for the chat, copy conversation, markdown. I will give it to you all there. I will also so if I open up OpenRouter, not on screen, but separately. Okay, it's frozen. That's a little bit rude. Okay, my Chrome is frozen. I really hope this doesn't end the stream. Okay, I think we were fine. Let's try that again. And this is what happens when you have 50,000 tabs open before you go live on a stream. I just need to sign in. So I'm doing this so that I can then add in the costs of each chat. So all of this. Zero. And now we're going to go on to the next bit. So I'm going to go click on here, chat, and then click chat again. And we're on a new chat. You can also see here you can continue where you left off on previous chats. And you can see that there's 14 messages within that. So now I'm going to copy the same prompt, initial prompt that I used the last time. And let's see how, oh, and then I'm going to make sure I select Sonnet 3.5. What do I call this? And let's see how different our another model interprets things and how we can do things. Yeah, that would be logical, and that it does not fit into my chaotic nature. It makes absolute sense. Absolute sense. But then I'd be like, but what about all my tabs? How am I going to find them again? But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. That would make sense. Okay. Sonnet 3.5, named the chat, new thread. We've got the context of the brainstorm. Let's go. Okay. I'd be happy to help you flesh out your story, the giant rat of Sumatra, based on the information you provided. Let's start analysing the information, checking for inconsistencies, then we'll brainstorm. Okay. So basically setting a timeline, that's fine. Holmes, consistent with okay, yep, it's fine with that. Custom procedure not allowing. Okay, so it's saying that that's historically accurate, and it's confirming that. Okay. Okay, so it's saying here the title, "The Giant Rat of Sumatra," suggests a connection to Sumatra, but the story seems to start in Burma. This isn't necessarily an inconsistency, but something to keep in mind for story development, which is absolutely true. Sumatra is just going to be the initial port where the people who were already on the ship boarded at. Potential storylines. Stowaway plague. Holmes must determine if it's related to a rat. Must solve the mystery before ship is quarantined or passengers die. Smuggler's secret. Uncovers a smuggling operation involving exotic animals from Sumatra, including a supposedly giant rat. I'm now kind of curious if giant rats are a thing. And if so, how big a giant rat is. 20 inches. Jesus. Okay, that's pretty big. Although not in Sumatra. New Guinea. Indonesia. Oh, okay. So There is the mountain giant Sundra rat, which is also the giant rat of Sumatra, is a large rat about 480 to well, about 19 to 25 inches. So with my handy tape measure, which was here for completely unrelated reasons. So 19, 25. So from my head to my stomach. So imagine a rat the length of your top of your head to like your belly button. That's pretty big. But I'm kind of liking the idea that the smuggling of exotic animals, because like Australia would have some, if Sumatra has some, that could make sense, and definitely why you would want to avoid quarantine. I'm going to add in my snippets giant rat research based from the smuggler's secret idea. I wanted to check if there were any giant rats associated in or around Sumatra. I found a quick Google found this, making the idea possible. It is 19 to 25 inches long. Including the tail. Eep. So this is the mountain giant Sundra rat. Yeah, which is there, so that's fine. I mean, very little other information, but that is enough for us to get started. Giant rat research. Okay, so Smuggler's Secret kind of fits in. So I might then also ask, okay, what other animals are they going to be smuggling? Cursed artifact, cursed by giant rat deity. I'm imagining now actually some kind of humorous thing involving the giant rat, and it's how things are found. Oh, okay. So another alternative, the naturalist discovery. So a renowned naturalist claims to have found a new species of giant rat in Sumatra. But the naturalist is found dead in his cabin. Holmes must determine if he was murdered or a bizarre accident. And maybe the cause of the death is the giant rat. Like he tried to smuggle a giant rat through, and the rat bit him and killed him, or the rat bit him and he got infected. Something also to think about. So smuggling operation where an illness is feigned to stop customs boarding. A naturalist claiming to discover said rat is mysteriously killed. Okay. So let's explore the smuggler's secret and the naturalist's discovery a little more. Don't know if I need to even put anything there. I'll just see what it does. I'm not sure if I like that climax. But it is certainly interesting as a story. Bartholomew Winters boards the ship in Burma, boasting of a groundbreaking discovery in Sumatra. He claims to have found evidence of a new species, a giant rat. Professor Winters is later found dead in his cabin under mysterious circumstances. His research notes are missing and there are no sign of his specimens. Holmes was determined if Winters was murdered, and if so, by whom. He needs to locate the missing research and specimens. Holmes uncovers that the giant rat was a clever amalgamation of several species created by Winters to secure funding and fame. The assistant, upon learning of the hoax, killed Winters in a fit of rage and disappointment. However, Holmes also discovers that Winters had stumbled upon a real, unprecedented discovery in Sumatra, which he had kept secret. Okay, I kind of like that, actually. That's very different to what I had thought about with the research. But I like the idea because, like, in Victorian times, there was a lot of times where you get the Frankenstein-esque creatures where they'd like sew them together and make it. So it could be that this was like a dead specimen of like multiple creatures all stitched together. Or we can do something related to smugglers. Okay, so guys, we are going to have a vote at this point. Do we want to go down... I will copy this conversation. Do we want to go down the smuggling route or the fraudster naturalist route? And then once we've done that, we can start working on the next part of our story, making some more codex entries. But I think this is a good, let's vote, see what you guys say. There's 15 of you live, so I expect to see more than two responses, please. Okay, we have one vote for smuggling. Okay. I'll give it a couple more minutes while I set up some more codex entries. But yes, smuggling or fraudery. Forgery. Words. Okay, let's close this. We know that there are a few entries that we are going to need as codex entries. Smuggling naturalist. That is not the most simple response, but yeah. Occam's laser. Does smuggling naturalist just mean you want me to combine both stories together or something else? We know that we have Watson. Of course, this is going to be a much shorter entry because Watson isn't actually in the story. We know that we are going to have a customs official for helping for when Sherlock gets onto the boat. Regardless of what happens, there will be in either story, there will be a captain. Oh, we have another vote for smuggling. And we know that we have a location of the Matilda Briggs. So we know as well, I fact checked this, the Suez Canal did exist at this point. It was in action. So it makes sense for them to be going around the coast rather than down around Africa. I did check that because, yeah. Combined sounds like an interesting character. Well, yeah, that would certainly be interesting. We could definitely have maybe the naturalist is a character on board as well. So we can have a think about that. I will count that then as one for each. Okay. Is there anything at this point as well that you want me to clarify in any of the documents or anything? I will also add the price of our brainstorm so far, because we've only had the two. I guess we've had less messages, but we got the answers that we wanted a lot quicker, so that kind of helps. 0.03, I think. Let me maths. It's the fourth decimal place. Okay, that's fine. 0.031 cents. Dollars. So 3 cents. That is fine. One sec. I don't need a virtual background if that's... Is my camera not... Oh, that's annoying. One moment. Let me see if I can fix this. That's better. There we go. Okay. It looks like we're doing smuggling. So we're going to next help if I was on the right document. next step. Brainstorm characters. Okay, so I'm just gonna look through these and be like, okay, well, which characters do we want? I do like the idea of a young zoologist. Maybe as part of the naturalist is also smuggling. Although that short story complicated. I don't know why I keep saying passenger instead of passenger. And then we have our ill passenger. I don't think we want many more people than that. I think that will kind of make things a little complicated. So I will transfer these to and ship's officer, customs officer, and young zoologist. We also have the Matilda Briggs, which will be a location, and we will add more as we go on, but that I think is okay. So for purposes of brainstorming, I have made one nested entry for all the characters in the story, except Watson. As he is not present. This is done so that I can refer to all characters in the brainstorming without having to mention them individually by name. This codex entry is named characters. Sitting in the same chat as the Claude. Do I also add another Brainstorm 2.0? Okay, so I'm going to also add a Brainstorm 2.0 entry. So I'm going to include some bits from here. Ooh, okay. So what about if the young zoologist is actually a naturalist? Okay. Okay, at this point, okay, so developing. I will try GPT-4o for this. So given the story you brainstormed in Brainstorm and Brainstorm 2.0, please help me develop the listed characters. To be honest, I can put that. Let me underline these so that you can see where we have how are you all finding this? Okay, so we can see here, if I go on to final prompt preview, you can see that we've got our normal stuff, but then we have Brainstorm, Brainstorm 2. Okay, so the listed characters aren't coming up. That might be, I think also what I'm going to do, something I forgot at the beginning, because this is a Sherlock Holmes, definitely should have British English. I'm just seeing if... Okay. So what I'm going to do is put in... Actually, I'm going to do this a different way. Ignore me. Actually, no, I'll leave these in just so they can get... Okay, so that was us checking back. So always use... so I'm going to add that as an important note. I almost missed out on... Okay. Four-o, got this. Given the brainstorm 1, 2. And remember that Watson isn't counted as one of the characters because he's not actually in the story. One moment, the doorbell's just gone. My husband treated himself to a large box of fudge, and 90% of me is tempted to just pretend to eat it all before he gets back from work. Okay. I might do a couple and then kit bash these, I think. So I'm going to copy conversation, mark down. GPT 4.0. And then Sonnet. Because that's my favorite. Open up a clean chat. Change it to, I'll open up that thread because copy this, double check. So go on prompt preview. Yep, they're all there and send. I'm just curious because like 4.0 is good, but sometimes it can just be a little like, I mean, to be fair, I did give some nice like different like sections, but sometimes it can just be a bit like, eh. That's all fine. Oh, okay. I like the idea of the naturalist actually turning out to be the villain all the time. That kind of works. Okay. Let's take I'd like to work out more about this illness. Are there any poisons that could replicate plague-like symptoms if a nefarious individual wanted to make it seem like there was a plague infected passenger on the ship? Okay, so it's important to note the symptoms of plague can vary depending on type. For the purposes of your story set in 1892, we'll focus on substances that we use at the time. Okay, which of these toxins would you suggest would give the closest plague like symptoms in order to keep the boat from docking? Simulate. Okay, I like the idea that the perpetrator, perhaps if it was the naturalist, pretending to be a doctor. Posing as a doctor was real natural. What is it? Naturalist. Naturology? You can work it out. But his real interest are in naturology. Let's work to develop his consume the arsenic. So I'm thinking maybe the passenger and the naturalist know each other, but no one else on the ship knows this. Just because of chance. Or not chance, but oh my god, Ambrose Blackwood. Blackwood is used so much in AI. Please summarize this in a paragraph format as follows. So what I'm doing here is getting it into a format that I can extract. So you can see extract. We've selected our Codex entry. I will. Okay, we've got a name for ill passenger. So now let's make a character description for Edward Holloway. Please suggest 3 different personas for this individual so that I may choose the one that best fits the story. So what my plan is to develop the characters and then use that to create a plan. If anyone is wondering why I've suddenly skipped to doing characters. Okay, I like the idea of either the naive assistant or the reluctant accomplice. I think I might go for the naive. I realized that I just sat there in silence for ages because I was trying to play out conversations in my head. Because I'm imagining this moment where Holmes checks on the patient when no one knows, and like the patient recognizes who he is. And then I was thinking which character would fit best with that. I'm gonna go with a naive assistant for now, but I'm not entirely sure. I will edit all of these after. So I might put I mean, to be honest, the customs official can just be what we had originally because it don't matter who he is. In the nicest of ways, he's there for like 3 seconds. Um, do we need a ship's officer? So something I always like to consider is, especially for short stories, like how many characters do we actually need? A ship's officer we might not need. I'm going to delete it for now. We can always remake him. Do we need a mysterious passenger as well? Because I've kind of combined those two roles, but I feel like we still need more characters. Like there needs to be some kind of foil. Yeah. Three character personas. How are you all doing this weekend? Are you up to anything interesting? Are you writing? Just casually listening to the stream while doing other stuff? What have you got going? Evelyn Blackwood, no relation to Dr. Blackwood. Okay, I mean, I love the idea of a character thinking about Sigerson, but I like the compromised leader. I kind of like the idea now, maybe, that the naturalist is working with the Chinese merchant, and like the merchant pretends to not understand English, but actually understands and speaks it perfectly well, and he's kind of like totally in on it, I think. Please, 1892. Interesting to see what this says, given that like Sherlock Holmes isn't made up. Let's open up Holmes. Okay, now I need to look up Scandinavian hairstyles. Scandinavian hairstyles, 1890s. Men. Norwegian. Okay, he's going to be sporting a ridiculous moustache. Holmes is still... He is growing increasingly bored of travel and wants excitement in his life once more. So a lot of this I'm just putting in kind of as it is. I'll probably edit it later, but so you'll see here that this codex entry is like much longer than others. So I'm going to put in my notes. You may have noticed that Holmes's codex entry is considerably longer than any of the others. As the protagonist and point of view character, so he is always on stage. It is essential to know more about him. Additionally, as we are basing our writing on basing the character on a known we want to keep his personality as similar to the original as possible. Other characters only appear on stage for brief moments of time, and so it is less essential to have detailed descriptions of every aspect of their lives. Compare Holmes to the customs official who does not even get a name. It kind of makes me sad that this story is going to fail the Bechdel test. I'm just looking at it, like, I've never written so many male characters in one story before. Like, just all men. Okay. 18. So if the naturalist is in his mid 40s, and this is 1992, therefore 1950s. Yeah, I'll just say the 1850s. England. That's for Edward Holloway. And then the captain. I'll also use Mercer for that. All right, let's see if it apologizes first. Okay. You'll see that the naturalist was first called Ambrose Blackwood. Blackwood is a surname that comes up a lot in AI writing, and so I wanted to change this ASAP. To do this, I asked the AI to give me names that were common in location plus time period that the character was born in. I then mixed up the suggestions. I think I like Thomas Kelly. I don't know. Feels like it. Okay. I mean, I'll keep Edward because I feel like Edward is a fairly common name. Edward. Lawson? Edward Jennings? Edward Jennings, I like. Okay. Thomas Kelly, and then I want to change Edward Holloway to Jennings. And then we also have Captain Mercer, except he's not Captain Mercer anymore. He's going to be Captain James O'Brien. Oh, that works because it's just changing his second name. I like that. Yep. With okay. So we have our characters here. Great. Now, finally, give me a 2-sentence summary of Watson, given the time period. Our story is set in 1892. Mm. 2 years now since the Reichenbach fall. That is not how you spell Reichenbach. Since the Reichenbach fall. Watson is unaware of Holmes's. You may be surprised to see that Watson has such a short description. However, as he will only feature in the story by brief mentions and never directly, we only need the information that is pertinent to Holmes's point of view. Okay. We don't have a ship's officer anymore. Okay. Let's move on to. I'm going to start this in a new chat. To use a clean chat for discussion about the Matilda Briggs. Okay. Sonnet 3.5. Matilda. Sumatra, Burma, and Persia. Given the context of the story, please give me a description of the Matilda Briggs. Please also, please subsequently include any additional details that a figure such as Sherlock Holmes would notice. Oh, any of you that are still here, thank you. Okay, let's have a look at what it's saying. So the Matilda Briggs is a steam-powered merchant vessel, likely a baroque or fully rigged ship containing both sail and steam propulsion. Built in the late 1880s, she represents the transition period in maritime technology. What would the capacity of such a ship be? Hull condition. They won't have that. What's it called? Passenger. Passenger. I might just change this to capacity. Crew 70. Okay, I'm now wondering, is there an unusually low amount of passengers or an unusually high amount of passengers for the ship? I'm still spelling. By the end of this day, I might spell passengers correctly. My God. Um. But there are noticeably fewer passengers than Hello, Harvest Handshake. Oh, you've actually arrived towards the end of this first stream. I'll probably be on for another like 10 minutes or so. And then I'm going to take a break for lunch. But we've been working on a sample novel for inside Novelcrafter. So I'm kind of going through adding notes, and I'm going to make kind of like we're going to make a document for everyone to kind of like be able to follow a potential like line of inquiry when writing. Okay. I'm happy with that. Okay, we've got our characters, we've got the ship, we've got the brainstorm. So what I'm going to do before we head off, let me just toggle. Oh, amazing. Yeah, you can always like watch this stream back or like on like double speed or whatever before the next one. Because like what I've done so far is working on like the brainstorming. So it's all in the chat. If you scroll to the top of chat, there is a document. It's novelcrafter.link/sample dash novel. But we've so far worked on like an initial brainstorm from a brain dump, done some character development, location development, and then we're going to take all that and work on our short story from that. I'm going to start getting it set up for plotting, but it might not quite get there before the end of the stream, or this first stream anyway. The next stream is intended to be the writing stream, but it might not quite, or we might not quite get there. It might still be some planning, which is fine. These things often take longer than you think. And then what do I need? I need the character development chat, actions menu, copy conversation, markdown. Sonnet. Oh, thank you. Okay. Actually, this would be a H2. Once again, I will try the same prompt with multiple models so that we can try and what am I trying to do? So that we can try and like get a better slash amalgamate them together. How do you actually spell amalgamate then? Oh, not amal. Okay. Okay, so we will do Toppy because that's free. Then we will do something else and then finish up with Sonnet 3.5. Does anyone have a model they would like me to try the planning prompt with when we do this? It's not like a custom prompt, it's just like whatever I put as the... But if you have any model requests, now is the time to make them while I'm doing Toppy. Please give me 3. I'm just going to put this as Toppies while I remember. Okay, so given the following information, Brainstorm 2.0, characters, and the Matilda Briggs. So that's basically getting all my Codex entries there. Please give me 3 potential stories following the story structure provided. Now, in the story structure, this is based off of like, the story should be, the plan should be enough, story plans. To cover a short story, perhaps 7,000 to 9,000 words. So what my purpose with this is that I want to pull up all the Codex references, get some ideas, and then use this short story structure, which is kind of based on the canon Sherlock Holmes short stories. Kind of roughly how much it lasts. There are going to be tweaks that I make, but this is kind of like just an idea for us to start out on. So, given the following information, Brainstorm 2.0, characters, and the Matilda Briggs, please give me 3 potential story plans following the story structure provided. The plan should be enough to cover a short story, perhaps 7,000 to 9,000 words. There can be multiple scenes per section in the story structure if required. So I'm going to send this, have this go off, and then I will finish and then return in just under an hour's time, I think. I'm just underlining anything that's a Codex entry. There. Let's see what Toppy says. Okay. Please. So this is an issue in token output. Okay, so conclusion. Okay, well, I will see you all in an hour's time. Where we can begin to look at this and see where we're going. So yeah, I will see you all very soon. Yeah, bye.